It's going to be very special. I can't be more proud.
It really evokes emotion.
We had a real opportunity to modernize our infrastructure and to really have it reflect and serve the community through the design. When I started in January of 2015, the staff here was about a year into a master planning process. So, in other words, is what we have good enough and ready enough for the future?
I started in December of 2000, and back then we were at the height of our hub. We had around 21 million passengers. 9/11 happened. US Airways went through 2 bankruptcies, and they decided to de-hub Pittsburgh. And it really became depressing. And we didn't have the money to really spend on inside the facilities. We spent about a decade just trying to keep the lights on from 2005 to 2015.
Suddenly, overnight, it becomes an origin destination airport, and it's just not designed for that purpose. So the passenger journey experiences was really bad. That needed to change, because if that didn't change, the experience for people visiting the airport, potential business leaders, that wasn't going to change either.
Jeff Fagan was the CEO of DFW Airport, and he's a planner by background. And so he scribbled on the back of the receipt, you know what you should do? You put the X, and he said, you got to take this terminal, put it up here. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's a great idea.
Our goal was to right-size the facility, to make it more efficient, to make it more representative of the local community.
We wanted to make sure that what was being built was an airport for Pittsburgh. It was going to reflect this region. It was going to feel like it reflected the community. There's a lot of times where people land at airports and think, where am I? How would I know? Because it all feels very generic. So we wanted to make sure that we could partner with architects and engineers with a company or a series of companies that would really understand the community and reflect that through design.
Working with a partner who understands your design is really, really fundamental to a successful design program. It's rare you get the right people to interpret your requirements exactly and work with you as they develop them to ensure you end up with the right program.
When Christina came, she was talking to myself and Richard Bellotti, our director of planning, and she's like, why aren't you looking at the best airports in the world and see what they're doing? What they were doing in Heathrow just amazed us. So we took some of the best things that they proposed and some of the things that we learned from others, and we created our own process to find the right design teams for us.
One of the things we learned from Barry Weeks is you don't pick a design, you pick a partner. So what we did is we brought the teams in, and they could bring up to 15 people, their sub-consultants, whatever, and they had an hour and a half to present their designs, and then after that, they stuck around for 2 45-minute exercises. And we brought in organizational psychologists.
We wanted to find a firm that was going to be very collaborative, but also disruptive a little bit and not avoid conflict, because we believe conflict was something that could help elevate the design.
What we were looking for is a group of people we could work with who would listen to us and who would respect where we're coming from and respect how we wanted to do this.
I've done this for a really long time, and I can say ACAA is a very hands-on client, which is an absolute benefit, right? You want your clients involved. You don't want to present to them once every 3 months, right? And hope that all that work you did is acceptable to them. Here, we do it on a daily basis.
It was the team of Gensler HDR as well as Luis Vidal architects that really started to come up to the top. To me, when the two could combine, that they could take on anything.
Gensler is a world-class architectural firm, right? Luis Vidal is a world-class designer as well. When you bring those elements together, it creates an energy that is beyond a typical design project.
So by the time we selected the firms, and we're very pleased with who we selected, we said, okay, now you need to understand our community.
I got a call one day from the airport that they were bringing in the architecture team that was going to design the new terminal. And they wanted a sense of the place to make sure that they made the new terminal feel and look like Pittsburgh. And so I had the great opportunity to take them on a bus ride all over the east end of Pittsburgh and talk about what was happening out there and give them a bit of a flavor of the community and what it's like to live here, what it's like to be here, so they could incorporate it into the design.
We had a lot of people from across the globe that were coming together to work on this Pittsburgh project. And we wanted to start first and foremost with them understanding truly the unique culture here in the Pittsburgh region.
In some ways, Pittsburgh is the essential American city. If you can understand Pittsburgh, you can understand the American experience. And Pittsburgh is about making things and building things and innovation. And that's at the heart of what makes us American.
We really wanted to showcase two things. One is just the innovation that's emerging in Pittsburgh. So naturally, you have to drive out through the University of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon to get a feel for how the future is being invented here. But we didn't want it all to be just about innovation and what's new and exciting and different. We wanted to make sure they had a grounding for what makes Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh. So some of the neighborhoods in the East End, the row houses, some of the juxtaposition of some of the new buildings with buildings that have been here for 150 years. So they get a real flavor for what the community is like, what it's like to be here, and hopefully incorporate it into their designs.
Pittsburgh has been through so many lows at least over my lifetime, and it's always rebounded, and it's a sign of resilience. And I think what the aviation industry is going to do is to look at Pittsburgh and say, wow, they've done it again.
When Christina came here, we created a very unique culture of innovation and disruption and transparency and communication and collaboration. We created that environment here, and we wanted, most importantly, to select a design team that worked together with us like that.
When I got here, Pittsburgh had been counted out in aviation, and I would say that is far from how the industry looks at us today. We have flipped on a whole new set of opportunities for this community that I think is just really exciting, and I don't see the end of anytime soon.
I think it's going to be a long-term economic gain for Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be something they're proud of. And importantly, from my standpoint, this is something that other airport managers and leaders around country, even the world, are watching. How can they do this? And if they can do it, why can't we do something like this?
Each generation builds on the knowledge of the past. Well, that's what we've done here in Pittsburgh, and the airport today is a model of the kind of innovation and can-do spirit that has made this region famous around the world.
That's where Nateco came from. It came from, okay, here's what makes this community special. It's nature, it's technology, and it's community. And those will be the design principles that you see in the airport, and that's what we're going to see.